guys, welcome. So let's make some more Valentine's cards in today's video. I'm using the Clear Stamp and Die Club of the month, and this is Spellbinders December Club Kit. It's called My Forever Person. You can buy this club kit without the dies as well if you'd prefer that. So here's a look at the stamp set. And the dies cut out both of those hearts as well as the love letters. And then you get lots of cute sentiments to go with it. I love the one that says, "How did I get so lucky?" And "I love your big heart." I'm also going to be playing with the embossing folder of the month. This one's called Heart Blooms. They emboss some really beautiful ornate hearts. So let's get going on card number 1. I wanted to use the love letters, so I'm going to stamp them out with some VersaFine Onyx Black ink onto some white cardstock. Once I have all of these stamped out, I'm going to pour over some clear embossing powder and emboss these so they have a little bit of shine to them and a little bit of dimension. But these are so beautiful. They have little flowers on the insides. And I just left them black and white this time. You could, of course, color them in and they would look stunning. But I just wanted the black and white look for these. So here is my clear embossing powder. And I'll catch it with a piece of type paper so I can just funnel it back into the little bottle. I'm going to warm up my heat tool. And I let it warm up for about 60 seconds, and then I'll bring it to the paper and melt the powder. And then I'll use the coordinating dies to cut out these letters. And here they are, ready to go. I'll run them through my Platinum 6 machine, and then I can just pop them out. And they're a nice large size. These are fun to play with. I like that the die cuts out the center of the O. For this card, I cut out a lot of layers and matting. So let's put down our first layer, just a piece of black cardstock onto a side folding card base. Next, I have a rectangle postage edge die that I cut out with more white cardstock. And then pink, and all of these pieces actually I cut out with postage edge die rectangles. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but the black and the dark pink have little dot details around the edges. And then the last layer is going to be a piece of red. I love making really fancy, frilly Valentine's Day cards. Next, I'll emboss my sentiment, and I'll stamp it out in the center of this card. I want to emboss this with some white embossing powder, so I'll stamp it out with some Versamark ink. I always like to do this at least twice to get the lines nice and sticky, and then I'll pour over the white embossing powder. Now I can melt this, and it says, "How did I get so lucky?" All of my letters I'm popping up with some foam strips. The L is the last one to go down, and I have a piece of red and white, no, actually this is pink and white baker's twine that I'm going to tie around the top of the letter into a little bow. And then last I'm going to add some pearls. These are oyster colored, and I'm just going to put 3 of them around this panel. So I was going to use the embossing folder on one of these panels on this card, but I just ended up embossing a small heart and putting it on the inside. Here is a close-up look. This card went through a lot of iterations. I just couldn't decide what to play with. There's so many fun things in this Clear Stamp and Die of the Month club kit. Card number 2 is going to be a heart-shaped card. So I'm going to cut out the card base first, and I'm letting the top of the heart just to overlap the edge of my card base. And I ran it through my Platinum 6 machine 2 or 3 times just because I have 2 layers of heavyweight cardstock here that I'm trying to cut through. To hide the flat spots on the top of my card base, I cut out a piece of pomegranate red cardstock and embossed it with the embossing folder of the month. And then I'll just adhere this on top, and it will hide that flat spot on the top of the card base really well. I'll just use a little bit of dot liner to do this. I'm going to stamp out the floral heart next. I'm going to stamp it onto a piece of pink sand cardstock and then do a little bit of coloring using my colored pencils. I love coloring on colored cardstock. This particular cardstock has a nice texture to it. And I pulled out my Polychromos colored pencils, and I'm going to speed this up a lot just so you can see the whole process. But I don't want you to have to be here all day watching this. So let me go ahead and speed it up. You could even skip this part if you'd like. I'm just going to go through and color all of the leaves and flowers inside this heart. On each leaf and flower, I'm going to be using 2 different colored pencils, one light and one dark, just to give it a little bit of dimension. I'm also not bringing the color to the very tips of the leaves or the flowers because I want to have some of that pretty pink cardstock showing through. Here we are, all done. I'm just adding a little bit of a gray colored pencil to the leaves at the top. I'll pop this back in my Mini Misty and re-stamp it just to freshen up the lines. And then I'll use the coordinating die to cut out this heart. This is going to go in the center of my card, but I do want to pop this up with some foam squares. But first, let's go ahead and stamp out a sentiment. And this sentiment says, "I love your big heart," which I thought was the perfect sentiment to go on this heart-shaped card. So I use a lot of foam adhesive behind this heart, and I'll do my best to center it inside the red heart. The sentiment I'm going to adhere down flat with some liquid glue. I'll add some light pink pearls to this. These are called Bella. It's just a very soft pink. And here's a close-up look at the finished card. I had a lot of fun pulling out my colored pencils for this card. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful crafty day, and I'll be back again really soon with another card video inspiration. Take care. Bye.